we're in the little country town of Jugiong. Now, Jugiong is pretty much one street and that's the town, but it was famous for its bushranger activity back in the 1800s, in the early days. And the Ben Hall gang came through here, and here's a memorial of one of the policemen that they were in battle with and shot him dead. And it says Sergeant Edmund Parry, killed in the courageous execution of his duty on the 16th of November 1864 in a gun battle with the Hall gang at Black Springs, Jugiong, New South Wales. And that's a memorial to Constable Parry, Sergeant Parry, I should say, and his horse when he gave chase. And over here is a sign, and I'll tell you the story of the highway robbery that he stopped, which was common in the early 1800s.
If you want to read it, guys, just pause it.
And here you can read it again. And I've also have done a small video of Johnny Gilbert, and I visited his grave. He lies in a paddock in a nearby town, at the back of a police station. And it says here, on Tuesday, on the 15th of November, the bushranger gang, led by Ben Hall, Johnny Gilbert and Johnny Dunn, held up the mail coach at Deep Creek on the Yass side of Jugiong. No one was hurt, but the gang boasted they would hold up the mail again the following day. But this time they did, with tragic consequences. For one of the policemen who gave chase and was in battle was tragically killed. And that was Edmund Parry. And we'll now show you his grave. The Ben Hall gang was a notorious group of Australian bushrangers who terrorised the central west of New South Wales during the gold rush of the early 1860s, executing massive gold heists and daring raids before Hall was killed by police in May 1865. The key members were Ben Hall, leader and former peaceful settler turned outlaw after police persecution; Johnny Gilbert, Hall's right-hand man and core leader in the gang's most violent and daring exploits; John Dunn, a younger recruit who joined the final phase of the gang; and John O'Mealy and John Vane, prominent associates involved in multiple hold-ups and armed clashes. The famous exploits included Jugiong rock robbery in 1862, ambushed a gold escort coach and stole over 14 pounds in gold, making it one of Australia's largest gold heists; the Canawindra siege in 1863, held up an entire township and local pub for 3 days, hosting a festive party for locals while displaying total defiance to the police; and the Bathurst raid in 1863, dared to ride directly into a major regional town in a show of bravado. On November 16, 1864, 32-year-old police sergeant Edmund Parry was shot and killed during a gunfight with Ben Hall's gang, consisting of Ben Hall, Johnny Gilbert and John Dunn, near Jugiong, New South Wales. The gang had already bailed up nearly 60 travellers and a mail coach on the road between Gundagai and Jugiong. Sergeant Parry and Sub-Inspector O'Neill were riding as armed escorts for the mail and rode into the ambush. The bushrangers opened fire on the police and both sides traded shots. Parry fired until he ran out of ammunition, when bushranger Johnny Gilbert ordered him to surrender. Parry shouted that he would die first, and then Gilbert shot him dead. O'Neill continued to fight until his ammunition was exhausted and was forced to surrender. And here we have the grave of Edmund Parry, the sergeant of the New South Wales Police, who lost his life in the execution of his duty while courageously endeavouring to capture the bushranger Johnny Gilbert, by whom he was shot dead near Jugiong on the 16th of November 1864. He was only 32. And it says this stone was erected by some of his officers and comrades, by whom the deceased was much respected and regretted. And strangely enough, he's buried with Edward Bowen, the young constable that died in the siege with Captain Moonlight. So both bravely fought bushrangers, and both sadly lost their lives at a young age. Maybe they both rest in peace. So I hope you enjoyed that little story, only a snippet, but I found it really interesting. Bushrangers were part of our culture and part of our lives back in the 1800s of Australia, and I find all their stories fascinating. So I'll catch you on our next adventure. Bye.